Absolutely, absolutely. I want to shift gears and ask you, about, some of your ventures. And in
Mhm.
particular, I want to shift to the Culture Vulture book. I
Right.
want to ask you, can you just take us through first and foremost, what motivated you? Because you and Dame Dash co-authored the book, but what motivated you two guys to come together and actually put that artwork out there for the people?
Well, for the actual idea for the book, it started off when I did Thinking Ball Out, and I interviewed him for a piece called "The Secret to Balling," that's connected to Thinking Ball Out, the audio book.
Hmm.
And I always told him, I was like, "Yo, man, when you finally sit still, I would love to like write a book on you. Based around some of the things I hear you talking about with some of your guys here, because Dame is a very giving person when it comes to information and knowledge. He's never, if you ask him a question, if you're close to him or you're in his proximity and you ask him something about business or what he thinks about something, he's very open and giving that information up, which is a good thing. And that's also the premise to write a great book. So what I did was he moved out here and I got back with him again. And I said, yo, man, it's time to get this book going. So we started filming those hip hop motivation videos you see. And initially I wasn't going to put the videos out. They weren't meant to be seen. Those were only like sound bites that I was collecting to fill the book up. I wasn't going to use everything, but it was just sound bites that I was going to use to fill the book up. And that's what we did. But we started putting them up and they became very popular. And so from there, as we're putting the videos up, I continue to write the book and figure out what chapters I'm gonna use and all this different stuff. And that's how everything came about. And the artwork on the cover of the book, his lady Raquel Horn, she drew this picture of a vulture. And Dane was always saying something about culture vulture. He kept saying culture vulture, culture vulture.
Hmm.
And we decided to name the book Culture Vultures because originally it was called Reasonable Clout. And my idea was to have him on the cover of the book, kind of dressed like Jay-Z was for the cover of Reasonable Doubt, but it would be Damon Dash on the cover of the book called Reasonable Clout. And that just became a section within the book, as you saw the first section. And we just kept moving, man. But it was a blessing that he even gave me the opportunity to write that book, man. And I told him before, but again, I appreciate him just sitting with me and allowing me to put that together because now I'm an author. Where
Right.
before I wasn't an author completely because Thinking Ball Out's an audio book, and the only reason I didn't do a book, a physical copy, because I didn't know how to do it. But now I know how to do it. So,
But talk. Right. Talk. I want you to explain that before we get into the Culture Vulture book. I want you to explain because I heard you speaking about this also. You were speaking about some trial and errors that you and Dame had trying to put the book out. Like you were trying to go through a few different people. Some things weren't working right. So you had to just say, you know what? We're gonna do this thing on our own. Take us to that journey.
Well, it was in the beginning after I got like a lot of the chapters together, the first obstacle we had to go through, what I had to go through was getting the right editor, somebody that really could keep the lingo and the Ebonics clear without making it sound so suspect. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like too polished. I wanted the book to have a rawness to it, and so what I had to do, I had to be close with the people that edit the book. But initially, right off, Dame had a disagreement with the initial editor. And then she called me and said she didn't want to work for him or whatever. So I had to find somebody else. So I continued to write. It was one of those. And then we got with somebody else. And he was pretty cool, no name shouting, but he was pretty cool. And then we got with someone else, some real people that really knew what they were doing. A girl named Tyra, who is connected to Dr. Boyce Watkins when I connected Dame and Dr. Boyce together. And she came on the team and she did the editing for the book, as well as a guy who did the graphic artwork for the book, Michael, this guy named Michael. And shoot, man, and then after that, once we got the book together, I know what you're talking about. After we got the book together, we were with my homeboy, Paul Stewart, great guy, love Paul Stewart. But him and Dame didn't hit it off well at a certain point within the union. And he had a book company. Paul Stewart has a book company. But Paul Stewart is the guy who put the Far Side in the game, Coolio, and all those guys back in the day. And so Paul and Dame had a little situation. And so he backed up and sort of, Dame calls it, leaving us hanging. But I looked at it as it just was time for me as an author and as a CEO of Hip Hop Motivation to go into my research stage and understand on figure out how to put this book out. And that's what I did. So with the information that we were trying to get from Paul, we didn't get, but it was a great opportunity for me to step up and do the research I need to do to be able to put other books out beyond Culture Vultures. And that's what we have, and that's what we're doing right now.
Word. When I was reading the book and as I'm going through the book, I asked myself a question numerous times. It was like, wow, why did they name the book Culture Vulture in particular? Because as you were doing promotion for the book and as Dane was doing promotion for the book, obviously Culture Vulture was a term that he used for your Leo Cohens of the world and for people outside of our culture, vulturing the culture. I mean, let's call it for what it is. And a lot of people that I asked if they read the book or bought the book, they were a lot of the haters. No, we're not going to buy a book on Damon Dash complaining about blah, 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 blah. So when I read the book, I thought it was going to be Dame going all the way in on this person, that person, blah, 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 blah. And I read it and I'm like, man, this is a self-help book. This is motivation. This is on a whole different realm. So was that kind of like you guys plan, or how did that work out? It
was my plan. Being the author, we recorded Dame as well as we putting up the videos on Dame speaking about his agenda within business. But I took everything and I just packaged it up to be a self-help project. I didn't really want to get too much because there's so much information, so much dialogue that we had where he was actually really going in on some people. But I didn't feel like that's not what the culture needs. What the culture needs is information that can help them go beyond any obstacle that stands in front of them. So I turned his situation with Leo Cohen, Tom Moskovich, whoever he talks about, everybody that he talks about in the book as a form of an obstacle that all of us will be faced with at one time or another, going through the darkness into the light. And so I personally love self-help books. So it had to be a self-help book for me to even write it.
Yeah, and I love the gems. Like after every chapter, you wrote like the most important parts. That was so dope. And one of the parts you talked about partnerships. And Oh God and I have been talking about this so many times within the last couple of weeks as far as bad partnerships. What are good partnerships? We've been dropping them on our various platforms on YouTube. And you talked about how you had so many bad partnerships early on that it kind of put you in a place where you couldn't trust people. Talk about that process with partnerships and where you're at now with it. And the goods and bads with partnerships, because it's so important out here, especially in business.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, I had a few people that were, they were placing their bet on whatever we came together to do. But as soon as we hit hard times, they would pull the bet from the table. And, which is understandable because a lot of people don't want to, people are afraid to go through the shit. They're afraid to go through the dark times. But for me, I understand that anything that goes through a building stage has to go through the darkness. You have to go through the building stage. You have to go through, like, as Dame says, being broke. You have to go through flipping your money and until you get your money back. You have to go through these things. And, it was a lot of situations where I just could not, I couldn't stomach even doing business with someone and they didn't even understand that philosophy. So, right now where I'm at as far as business, I'm trusting until someone shows me otherwise. That's what I came to learn. I just trust people until they show me otherwise, and I continue to do what I'm doing. But it's hard to say that you can really trust anyone fully at all, as far as business goes. But then that's also insane because you do have people that live by the rules of the game. They're not going to cheat. They're not going to steal from you. They're not going to rob you. They're not going to try to stab you in your back. So I just really just stay who I am, and until someone shows me otherwise. That's really the way it goes with me, and it's just like that with the relationship. Like business and relationship are so closely connected. It's like, how do you really trust your girl? You know what I'm saying? When, a lot of men know that a lot of women get a change of heart real fast. You know what I'm saying? So how do you really trust anyone? But the main person I had to learn how to trust was myself. So when I began to trust myself, what someone else did became no consequence to me. It was just like, okay, well, you did that. Okay, I'll just stay over here. You stay over there. It didn't hurt me as much as I thought it would because I have a trust in myself and that I can actually continue going on in what I need to do. And that's what I continue to do, especially in the barbershop. I had some situations like that. Yeah.
You still got the barbershop up now? My bad, oh God.
What'd you say?
Do you still have the barbershop now?
No, I sold the barbershop when I walked away. I walked away from the barbershop about like 5 years ago, something like that. I walked away from the shop, and I just said it was like an effort situation, and I said I'm gonna go full blast into what I'm doing. I still cut. I cut private though. I have a private salon that I cut hair at myself and my lady, and it's been beautiful because I only cut 2 days a week, by the way, and I have more time to really work on projects and do what I need to do. And so that's how we were able to do The Secret to Ball In behind me thing. I'm working on Thinking Ball Out the book right now. So, and it's just clearing my day to put forth effort into the business of hip hop motivation.